promise me you will try the cow level for a minute, because it's just these enormous bovine monsters, cows, on their hind legs, holding like big brandishes or whatever they're
Yeah.
called, coming at you
Halberds.
slowly, halberds, yep, slowly going moo, moo,
It's
moo.
it does just
Oh
sound
my
like a
God.
person saying moo,
God,
moo.
Blizzard was
Yeah.
so awesome back then.
Welcome to the Cable Club. We're a retro video gaming podcast where three guys can't carry anymore, and we're linking up to talk about the games you love and rank them. You want me to start over, Mr. Yawn?
No, I'm not yawning. I'm just having a nightmare awake about the inventory space in this game. Go ahead, just keep going. Who
I
are
thought
we?
he meant can't carry like you couldn't carry, other players.
My turn. I'm Dawn.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Steve. And we're here with our guest Hux from the Discord. This week's episode is our 15th League episode, and the entry is Diablo 2. So, get ready to upload data from us to you, but first, Hux, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hey, so I'm Hux. Right now in the Discord, I am Deckard Hux. And you will remember me from the Megaman Battle Network 3 episode and from the special episode on Hades 2. I have known all of these guys since high school or middle school, and we've been playing games forever for a long time together. For myself personally, I'm a big Magic the Gathering fan, I'm a big Blizzard games fan, I'm a big Game Boy Advance fan.
Recently, you've become a little bit of a tinkerer, I think.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a tinkerer. So I'm a Mac guy at heart. My first ever Windows device is my Asus ROG Ally, which I love, and installing things like new, larger capacity SSDs and, tinkering inside my Ally has led me to want to tinker with other things. Over here is my little soldering station where I'm practicing soldering, so that way I can upgrade my own Nintendo DS Lite that I'm planning on giving a reshell in the future. So that is me. Those are my hobbies.
Hux must be a fairy and steel type. He's a Tinkaton. Where's your hammer?
I have some fantasy weapons off screen over here. You can get just a little bit of my Green Lantern.
Oh yeah,
There.
I see it.
Boo,
Is it like
DC.
hard? Is it really good? Is it good for defending the homestead? Like if you just swung it over your head, you know?
You'd have to throw it at someone because the handle's pretty flimsy, but it itself is very heavy. Or I have the Elder Wand and I could just stab someone in the face with it.
There you
No,
go.
we choose violence here. Here's your kill curse. So I have some announcements before we get started too. The biggest one, which is you're going to see us all next week because we're now officially on weekly episodes. So every other episode, we're still going to be doing the league. We're still keeping our schedule there on track for the end of the year to play 25 games and rank them. Every off week, we're going to be talking about something we want to talk about at some point, but can't squeeze it in amongst the league. So you're going to get twice the Cable Club every Tuesday morning or Monday night whenever you tend to catch the show. So that's pretty exciting. And that's what I got for announcements. Nothing else.
Well then, let's get on to setting the mood. It's a Saturday night birthday sleepover. You and your friends just got a couple of pizzas from your favorite spot down on the corner. 2 liters of all the good stuff are on the table against the wall in the living room. You all have red Solo cups with your names on them. Some are half full, some are mostly empty. You know, Depends on how into the game you are. Once everyone was ready, the lights got turned out, and you put on some of your favorite CD mixes in your 5 CD changer disc player. You had 4 computers all hooked up with various sitting arrangements. However, you could accommodate everyone's PC in the one living room. You all were ready to play all night on your local area network, Diablo 2, fighting the giant hordes of undead legions, sharing portal scrolls, running around like wild animals, and sweating it out against the forces of hell. You and your friends were going to beat that bastard Diablo no matter the cost, for the world is relying on you, and nothing is going to stand in your way.
All right, so today we're talking Diablo 2, which is quite the juggernaut of a game. I think we're going to have a hard time talking about as much as we want to talk about today.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to say.
But as is Cable Club tradition, I'm going to kick it off to Hux first to get us started. Hux, tell us about Diablo like we've never heard of it before.
Stay a while and listen. So, Diablo 2. Let's just start with my personal relationship with this game. I said earlier that I am a Mac user at heart. My dad has had computers in the house my whole life. I learned to type before I could handwrite, and I grew up with the Apple II, and we had Mac computers exclusively. And back in the day, as bad as it is now, back then, nobody made games for Mac, except Blizzard, which was at the height of their popularity, the height of their powers, some of the best games they ever made, and they were making them for Mac. So gaming for me was all about the Game Boy Advance. It was all about maybe Yu-Gi-Oh cards at that point, and then later Magic cards, and all about Blizzard games. So I played all the Warcrafts. I played StarCraft, which is probably my favorite from Blizzard. But because that was already chosen, I wanted to make sure that Diablo got picked for the Cable Club, because it's arguably at least as good a game as StarCraft or better. So that's my history. This is the only horror game. This is the only action RPG game. I was all in Blizzard games, which was all about strategy games. So this one was really unique for me growing up. Now, the history of Diablo, you had your first Diablo 1, 3 characters, the town of Tristram, the first coming of Diablo. I don't know how deep you guys want me to get into the lore of everything, but essentially,
Don't worry, we will. We're gonna go there.
we're gonna go there. Diablo
Hopefully.
history or something later on.
Yeah.
So essentially, you had Diablo 1. It got a bunch of attention. It was great. People loved it. They made a sequel, and they loved it even more, because this is like 90s, early 2000s Blizzard, and everything they made was a banger. So Diablo 2 took everything that we loved about Diablo 1 and improved upon it. Not to say that everything's perfect, and not to say that we haven't learned lessons by today's standards, that some things with Diablo 2 are definitely, going to get improved on later on in the franchise. But at the time, Diablo 2, especially with the expansion pack, was perfect. It was one of a kind and just as metal as a video game could possibly get. All you do is you roam the countryside from forests to deserts to caves and temples and even magical alternate dimensions
And
all the way to
actual hell.
Actual hell. Actual hell. Just slaughtering hordes and hordes and hordes and hordes of monsters and zombies. What's not to love? Like, 7 character classes, 3 skill trees each, 21 possible skill trees, plus combinations, like the replayability. I want to try this class, I want to try this skill, I want to try this mix, I want to, 3 difficulty levels. And this was back when Blizzard had started coming out with Battle.net. Guys, Battle.net. Play with your friends online.
Yeah, Diablo 2 was built with online play in mind.
Yeah, that's insane, especially for back then.
It might surprise you to know it came out in 2000, though, which feels like just yesterday. I know, I'm old. I'll go take my medicine. Thanks.
Yeah.
But, this game, console gamers, we had, like, Mortal Kombat, right? And that was, like, our hyper-violent bloody game at home. But little did we know that the PC gamers were out here with, and Diablo 1 came out in 96.
Well,
so
listen,
it would have
Doom.
been a little bit more.
Yeah, Doom was pretty good.
Right? Doom, but there's just, if you take the time to look at this game and look at the visuals and you're not just running through it, there's a lot of horrific stuff.
Oh yeah, you got hanging bodies from trees and stuff.
Yeah, like literal pools of blood and body parts.
Yeah.
Like before you fight the bosses.
You can walk around with a severed leg. You just get Wirt's leg.
Yeah,
it
and
does
if you're a
2 to 4 damage.
necromancer, you get shields that are heads, like zombie heads, or.
I never found the severed leg. I didn't know that was a weapon.
Oh, buddy, am I gonna have to go do cow level stuff with these guys?
Oh my goodness!
I've heard that term. I don't even know what the heck that is.
There is no cow level, Dan. It doesn't exist.
There is no cow level.
I know that cheat code from StarCraft. I don't know what it actually is though.
Well, because it doesn't exist. It's not.
The cake
it's
is
not real
as well.
Oh, my brother in Zakharoom. You don't even know. Okay, so after you beat Baal, the final boss of Act 5, in any difficulty level, if you go back and play at that level again, go to Act 1, go to Tristram through the portal in the Stony Field, and then you will be able to find Wirt's body. Now, Wirt is a character from Diablo 1 in Tristram who swindled you out of tons of money. And you're not supposed to really like him. So you find his dead body, and you're supposed to be happy about it, and it explodes all the gold that he stole from you in Diablo 1, and his wooden leg, his famous wooden leg.
It's a wooden leg? That's way less fun.
Yeah. You take the leg, you go back to the rogue encampment, the home base in Act 1, but you need the Herodric Cube that you use to transmute objects together. You combine a Tome of Town portal with Wirt's leg, and instead of getting an object, it opens the portal to the hidden cow level, which is the funnest thing you can do in this game. I know you all have to move on to the next game, but promise me you will try the cow level for a minute, because it's just these enormous bovine monsters, cows, on their hind legs, holding big brandishes or whatever they're called, coming at you slowly, halberds, slowly going moo, moo, moo.
It does just sound like a person saying moo.
God,
moo.
Blizzard was so awesome back then.
And then there's the Cow King, which is the
Cow King,
which is the elite. But my understanding is once you kill him once, he never respawns.
That might have been the way back in the day, but they definitely made it redoable in the resurrected edition of the game.
Well, that's good.
Well, let me rein this in a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about the gameplay itself. So if you're familiar with StarCraft or RTS games or Fallout, that'd be like the original Fallout. That'd be a really good way to kind of describe how it plays, right? So it is an action RPG, and I'd almost put it under the hack and slash category. Almost. I think Diablo 2 is a little less hack and slashy than later installments, but you click to make your character move. You don't usually run around with a controller or D-pad, although you can in the more modern version.
It really does feel like you're microing one unit in StarCraft.
Yes. Yeah. And then you get levels up, and then there's skill trees. Like this was early World of Warcraft, before World of Warcraft was a thing, where you have the one character and the skill trees and all that stuff.
I think you do well to consider Dungeons and Dragons, because we're talking an RPG so early in RPGs that when you level up in this game, they give you 5 skill points, and there are 4 skill attributes. There's your strength, vitality, energy,
dexterity,
and dexterity. I almost forgot because dexterity. But each one corresponds to some stats and stuff, and you get 5 stat points to distribute however you'd like, because you, the player, can customize your character as whatever experience you're trying to get, in a lot the same way that if you were playing Dungeons and Dragons, you'd have a stat card.
Yeah. And it's funny because you can kind of mess around with it a little bit, and you can if you want to be that melee mage wielding a claymore that also casts spells, you can just go ahead and have fun. As long as you have enough strength and dexterity to wear the armor and stuff that you want to wear, you can do stuff like that. So it's mostly point and click. You have attacks, and then you have obviously an array of skills. How many characters are there, guys? Does anybody have a good count on this?
7?
Seven.
Yeah, it's 7 playable. Well, 2 of them were expansion characters, I believe.
That's right. So in the first game, there were 4 acts to the story, and 5 main playable characters, which were the sorceress, Amazon, paladin, barbarian, and
Necromancer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
Necromancer,
He was
yeah.
not an expansion.
My
Necromancer.
personal favorite.
And then when you bought the expansion pack, Lord of Destruction, you'd get Act 5, which was about the size of 2 acts. It was a pretty big expansion. And
It
2
was
more
the
playable
best
classes, the Assassin and the Druid. So with the full experience, 5 acts, 7 characters.
And they're all very different. Despite there
they
only
did a
being
great job.
four attributes, like, the barbarian plays I think how you would expect him to play mostly, but then there's like other stuff he can do. So each character has 3 skill trees, right? And I don't know them all, but I played.
Me neither.
What did everybody play this week?
So yeah, I played Barbarian.
Okay.
So like,
And then Steve, what did you play?
Necromancer.
Done.
And then Hux, you were a sorcerer, right?
Well, yeah, so I knew this game was coming up, so I replayed an Assassin for one go, and then I did a Sorceress for a second go.
Yeah, and then I played a druid. So each character has 3 different skill trees. Dan, tell us about the barbarian skill trees.
so the Barbarian is basically how it sounds. It's like you're a big, muscly dude that can use a big 2-handed axe or sword, or you could use a sword and shield, or you could actually dual wield. And the unique thing about Barbarian is he can actually dual wield some weapons, like 2-handed weapons, in each hand. And I don't know, I just love that fantasy of just like this warrior wielding like these 2 monstrous weapons. And that's the route I went.
So Chef Doug played with us this week too, and he also played a barb, but he did like shouts.
And a paladin. He did both.
Yeah, so he did with his barbarian shouts, which is a support type of a role.
Yeah, the beauty thing about the Barbarian, and it's kind of weird because you think like as a Barbarian, you're this big juggernaut like charging in and like just hack and slash and everything. But no, you can actually play like a support type if you really want to buff all your if you're playing with people, you can buff your whole team. So it's more of like a supporty role. And there's like a term that like people call it, the build, it's called like the singer Barbarian, which basically all he does is sing.
They should call him the Bardbarian.
The
Bardbarian. Yeah, that would be great. But yeah, you could that's
you heard it here first.
That's a legit play
Club.
style. And yeah, but I didn't go that route because I was playing solo. I just did dual wield, and it's called Frenzy, which basically means like anytime like you attack with your 2 weapons, like you start attacking faster. Like it ramps up. You start attacking faster and faster, and you also run faster. So by the time,
like a void ray.
Yeah. So by the time I got to like end game, I was like zooming across the map because it was like I had like such insane movement speed.
Oh, you run faster too, right? When you frenzy?
Yeah, so you run faster and you attack faster.
Right. It's a good mechanic because if you are outside of combat, it deteriorates.
Right.
So you need to go from mob to mob to mob, and so having the added movement speed helps you to keep your stacks up.
Right. Yeah, I had a lot of fun
chaining.
with it. I had a lot of fun with it. There was some like bosses that gave me a lot of trouble though, just because it's just like being up in the face and melee, and I'm sure we'll get into like certain bosses, but like
Oh boy, won't we?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think hack and slash is a little bit disingenuous for a game like this because of those little things that keep you amused while you're playing, like chaining, right? And my class druid, so I did a build where I turned into a werewolf, and that's how I spent like 90% of my time as a werewolf. So fast attacks, hard hits, accurate, but like single target damage always. And then I had an ability where I would claw an enemy, and if it connected, I would get a boost in damage, accuracy, and movement speed. And if I connected 3 times, it stacked up to 3 times, so I'd get even faster.
Oh,
right?
so
So I was doing like Dan was.
Yeah, it's kind of like
where I was
Frenzy Barbarian. Yeah.
Right, and then but the druid also has summons, which are a part of this too. So I had like a pack of wolves following me around, like five
Dude.
other wolves following
Oh,
me
that
around.
sounds so fun.
Well, because I pretty much do only single target damage, the pack helps you kind of, in one way, kind of mitigate the crowd. So one way that the game really engages you is that you don't want to get surrounded, because you'll just be taking damage, right? So you, as the lead wolf with this extra movement speed and your pack coming up behind you, you would circle around the other side of the mob so that the pack would be hitting it from one side and you'd be hitting it from the other. So you kind of do this
Zergling
like,
swarm.
yeah, basically, like you have to actively make sure you're surrounding. You can't just go brain dead and hack down. At least not in the initial stages of the game. You can't go brain dead and just hack down entire mobs. So it's kind of neat. I don't know if Steve, did you have like any kind of like engaging?
Before I hear
like
about
that?
Steve's experience, real quick, can I ask you two guys as melee classes? I recall because in this game, the basic attack is a left click, so you have to click every time you attack. Now, my recollection is that compared to like World of Warcraft, where your attack speed is fixed and you just are kind of selected a target in the attacking state and he attacks at whatever rate
It's like
he has.
auto attack.
Yeah.
Auto attacks, essentially, yeah. So I thought that part of the getting into the spirit of your character and the getting hyped up and the emotion of playing the game was being like click 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 attack get him.
I'm so angry.
Yeah. Did you
But,
guys feel that in your melee classes?
No, because you can hold down.
Yeah,
the button
I was about
and
to
they
say
attack as
that,
fast
like
as
with
you.
the frenzy barbarian, like because I was clicking for a while, but then I was like, oh wait a minute, I can just hold it down. So that's
Yeah.
what I eventually started doing.
And with frenzy, I think you'll actually get faster than you can click. Too.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I've seen that back in the day. They go completely ape.
So Steve, what was your experience like playing Necromancer?
So Necromancer has 3 skill trees. They have summoning, they have bone, and they have curses. And I did summoning and curses. So I was able to summon up to 6 skeletons at a time and a golem. And I didn't like stray too far into that. I just put a ton of points into summon mastery or skeletal mastery and skeletons. And then in the bone section's all about like spells, like damage spells and walls
Kind of like a
and
magey
barriers.
type of a thing, right?
Yeah, it's more like a mage style route. And the only skill that I took from that is Corpse Explosion, because it's really, really your best option for AoE, area of effect damage.
Is Corpse Explosion a level 1 skill, or did you have to put points and stuff
It's
to
a level
unlock
2
it?
skill, but you just have
So
to put
like
one
level-
point in something else. And it doesn't increase the damage when you increase the skill. It increases the radius at which the effect takes place. But it does, like, I don't know, 50 or 75% of the corpse's HP. So it's really, really powerful.
It scales with you as you go further in the game. Your monsters are harder,
Yeah.
so the damage is more without having to add more skill points to it.
Right. So I put like 3 or 4 in just to make the radius wide enough to be useful. And then I found the most near the end of the game, I started putting lots of points into curses, because there's like this insanely busted curse. It's called Decrepify. It AoE targets a group of enemies. It makes them slow, weak, and take amplified damage.
Wow.
It was insane.
Yeah, enemies cast it on you too. Late game.
Yeah, they do.
And similar to Don, how he said he would run and he would circle, as a necromancer, I'm really not built for combat. So I run in, and as soon as I see enemies, I run back, and my skeletons all. It was like I was
Yeah,
running in
so
and
how many-
taunting and then
how-
running away.
how many skeletons did you have?
You get to play like general, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
6
necromancer-
skeletons is what I had.
The Necromancer famously, obviously, has the most summons possible of any character, somewhere in the like 15 or 20 when you count up the number of skeletons, skeleton mages,
Wow.
golems, mercenaries, and revives.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
They
You're
are-
just traipsing around with your posse.
Like,
It's
You
actually
need
the safest
corpses.
class to play. It's
Yeah.
the class that gets killed the least.
So
Yeah.
like when I'm not going to get too deep into the boss fights because we're going to save that, but if you run out of skeletons and you have no corpses, you have to leave to summon new skeletons and go back.
Not only that, you got to go hunt down things to kill so you can use their corpses to make skeletons.
Every
Yeah.
time you log in for a session, you have to go to like the noob zone and kill like a couple of things and then move on.
You can summon a golem for free, and then you get your mercenary and you go kill a couple weak things.
Yeah, you just watch the golem murder a few things. You can get the skeletons up. It's just fun how many like neat mechanics they managed to cram in here, and you know I don't think we're going to talk about all the characters, but they all really have their unique things.
Yeah, every character definitely feels different from one another.
But it's fun how they can also cross, right? Because I think the poison and bone skills necromancer plays a lot like a sorceress, right? So to talk about my experience as a sorceress, three sorceress skill trees are ice spells, fire spells, lightning spells. So it's all offense all the time. Total glass cannon, mwah, perfect for my playstyle. Love it. But there's no like sorceress support build. Like there can be a barbarian using shouts and a necromancer using curses or a paladin using auras. There's nothing I do that helps anyone else. I'm just there for me. Totally selfish. Absolute, alpha top behavior. So, the different skill trees, and I actually got to play respec a couple times and play as all three of the skill trees a little bit this week. The fire tree is the most damage, burst damage, AOE explosion type stuff, but also some cool things like fire walls that if people stand on the fire, they take DOT, or things like fire hydras that are these untargetable.
I hated when mobs used fire hydras.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Because there was never just one.
Yeah.
It was like, you come up against the High Council, and here's 18 fire hydras suddenly on
Yeah.
you.
They come in threes, so if they use it twice on you, there's already six, all firing, each Hydra shooting their own fireballs, making it hard to dodge.
And by the way,
fire-
you're not supposed to attack them either. They're not. They're
No,
not targets.
I learned that
They
the
don't
hard way.
Yeah, they don't have HP. They're not targets. But the problem with the sorceress is that when you get into higher difficulties, many enemies will have random elemental immunities, not just resistances, but full out immunities. So when I first started playing, I did electric, and it wasn't doing the kind of damage I wanted because the thing with electric skills is they are all 1 to something. So any electric spell could be like, oh yeah, 1 to 7, or it could be 1 to 150, but you don't know what you're going to get for every given cast because it can be any number in that range, and the range always starts at 1, as opposed to like fire spells, which are tighter, ranges in the higher numbers, right? So I didn't like lightning. After a while, it wasn't scaling well enough, so I switched to fire because I had a really good staff with that I put a room word in that gave me tons and tons. Like seriously, if I showed you this, there's like +3 to all fire spells for starters, plus another 2 to this fire spell, and another 3 to this fire spell, and another. It was like busted until I came up against my first entirely immune to fire mob, and I had no points in anything else.
Oh no!
Absolute dead.
Run away.
Yeah.
Run away.
My plan was be a target and hope that my mercenary could kill them. That was it.
You can pull out the sword.
Yeah. So then in my second respec, now having tried some lightning, some fire, I did ice, except that I included this one electric spell that hits people. The amount of damage is fixed, and it's 25% of their HP, but when you put more points in it, it increases the range, so it's very tightly around your character and gets wider and wider. So what you would do for mobs that were immune to fire is you would run up, do this lightning move a couple times to chunk them down a few 25%, 25%, 25%, and then hope that your mercenary could finish them off.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, sorry, just to say about ice real quick, of course, sometimes ice spells can freeze things in place entirely. Sometimes it just makes them slower movement. But, so ice had less damage overall than fire, but fire didn't really have the...
So ice is the multiplayer
special
element then.
Well, yeah.
Ice is just the best one.
Ice is just the best one. Like, Blizzard does tons of damage. Now, Meteor does more, but if they're moving so slow that they can never reach you and they just sit in a blizzard and take damage over time, which is, the games company is called Blizzard. The mages in Warcraft 2 use Blizzard, and it's like the best spell in Warcraft 2, and it's the best spell in Diablo 2. Blizzard. It's
I'd be really
you
interested
go.
in knowing if Blizzard, the company, named itself after like the Final Fantasy spell, or if there's some kind of history there.
Not entirely sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Early Blizzard stuff is we're talking about like the Three Vikings and some like
Oh, that's
Yeah.
real
right.
gems.
Yeah, that actually
Yeah.
might be why they called themselves Blizzard. So we just like mechanic dumped a bunch there. But like, so progression in this game is one part level ups because you get those skill points that we kind of talked about with the
Skill
with the
points
skill
and
trees,
stat points.
right? And stat points. You kind of have to pick a direction. Hux mentioned respecking, so there is a built-in mechanic that does allow you to take all these points back into a bank and rearrange them. I think a few times per character.
Actually, there if you're playing the resurrected version, there is a late game. Basically, you can farm for an object that lets you respec. Oh, not a disposable object that gives you one additional respec. So if if you'd used all your 3 main respecs you get per character, then you could farm some end game content, get a disposable respec object, and then do it again.
Right. I think
No,
it like
neat. So it's-
entailed like killing like all the bosses or something like that.
I didn't do it, and I know there's an article online where you can read how to do it, but I did not get that far into the game. I think I got farther than everyone else here this week, everyone else in our community this week, since it was my game. I really wanted to have a real grasp on everything I could to talk about. So I got to around almost level 60
Oh, wow.
and almost beating Bale on the second difficulty, Nightmare difficulty. I did not get to start playing in Hell difficulty, which I really was aiming for before today.
Yeah, so there's multiple difficulties, right? You start on normal, and then once you beat the game, you circle back around. And my understanding is that is the late game in Diablo 2. You just circle back around infinitely, basically. It doesn't get infinitely harder. I think it ends at Hell mode.
Yeah.
There's 3 difficulties: normal,
Yeah.
then Nightmare, then Hell.
And the scale and progression goes up based on the difficulty too.
Yep.
So it's hard to talk about this whole game in one discussion. So I'm trying to like pick and choose our points here, the things that make this game really unique. Like, you can go look up a guide and figure out like how to play this game and get the basics. But like, there's 4 Diablo games out now, or four of the main series. Technically, there's a phone game out, but do we even have phones?
Yeah.
But
This is a retro video gaming podcast.
yeah.
I'm head to toe in character.
this is my phone. Flip.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things I thought this game did well, especially relative, because I don't know, it's hard to compare Diablo against other things other than more Diablo. I think the modern day equivalent would be like Path of Exile.
Yeah.
Would be like the new dominant force. Blizzard, I'm not going to go into the details, but Blizzard kind of went off the rails a little bit and is not as well respected in the gaming community as they once were.
Certainly not putting
Not
out
even
banger
just
after
that.
banger anymore.
Like, it's not even just within the company. It's just they've dropped the ball so many times, and other companies have picked up the slack in the genres.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So the genre is much more common.
Strategies are basically dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, maybe in the indie scene though. So this game, Diablo 2, I thought did a great job with the enemy design. Despite the nature of this game being like a just beat up as many enemies as you possibly can as fast as you can, there are a lot of enemies that you need to like you can't just autopilot your way through. I don't know if you guys found that, but like some enemies resurrect other enemies.
Oh yeah,
I
like the
could
shamans.
More.
Yep.
Yeah. You're like, I got to kill that one, or else I'm not making any headway.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
As a necromancer, I don't have to target anything.
You just.
Yeah,
but I do think you can. I think there's a key to make your skeletons go after one thing if you want to.
I think if I attack something, they will, but I didn't get close enough because I was weak and frail.
Yeah.
I don't know if that mechanic exists in Diablo 2. You're remembering it from Diablo 3.
Yeah, maybe. So it's it's pretty engaging to run around in the world and encounter these different enemies and figure out what their deal is because you oftentimes have to.
Yeah.
That being said, the bosses in this game are like the exact opposite. Like,
What do you mean?
you need to be able to out DPS, out heal them, and if you can't, you're just going to die. Like, there's just no, like, they don't do fun thing. I mean, so Diablo 3 kind of learned from this.
Yeah, I
where,
mean,
like,
it was still early.
Yeah.
They didn't really no mechanics back then. But yeah, a lot of them are just like tank and spanks, really. Unless you're like a ranged character where you can actually kite and stuff. But like, yeah, there was
I
some.
had such
Well-
a BS time fighting Diablo. Hold on.
Me too.
So did
So
I.
Don's got an excuse. He's got an excuse he's
Yeah.
going to use, guys.
So I looked it up. This is how I understand it. If somebody joins your game, the enemies go up in HP and experience. So Hux joined my game, and then I was like, oh no, wait, I kind of want to fight Diablo alone because I want to know how well I can do against him. I was dog walking Act 4. Excuse the pun because I was a werewolf. But when I fought Diablo, I was getting one shot by everything he did, like except the fire stomp,
Well,
which is garbage.
I mean, well, he's the quote unquote final boss of the base game.
yeah,
so-
but it's just
It's exactly
it
what
was
I said.
not
It's
fun.
exactly what
It
I
was
said.
not fun.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody join my game, and my skeletons were getting one shot
Oh,
from
yeah.
his AoE attacks.
Oh yeah, no, forget the wolf pack.
That's the problem
they
with
just
the
died.
Necromancer.
Yeah.
Is that since your strategy, if you do a summoning strategy, then all you have are just these weak little mobs for these big bosses.
Well, there's a workaround because in the summoning skill tree, there's a skill called Resist, and it increases the skeletons or all of your summons elemental resistances. So, I didn't realize that until after I beat Diablo,
Oh,
and I knew that Bale was going to have something, so I started putting points into it.
To be fair, that's a high end, right? Isn't that like a level 24 and up skill?
Might be.
Might even be a level 30.
It
and
is
up.
level 24.
I
Yeah,
literally had to cheese the hell out of Diablo. Like as a barbarian, I could take like one hit max, and then I had to like back off. So what I did was, because he would run around a lot. He runs around like a madman, but like
The lightning dude.
oh, I know. So basically,
He has
what
good
I
moves.
would do is I would get my few whacks, and he would hit me, and then I would kite him because I had the frenzy buff up, so I was faster than him. So I would like just use a potion, wait for the potion to top me off, and then I'd go back in, and then just do a couple hits, and then rinse and repeat. And then I would use a portal if I had to restock on potions. It was a long, drawn out fight, but that's what I did.
I must have spent
so-
30 portals. I'm not even
Yeah.
joking.
So here's the thing with Diablo in particular, right? So a lot of the mini bosses are, like you guys said, just ground pound them as much as you can, as fast as you can, kill them before they kill you, right? There are strategies for some of the main bosses, like the act bosses, the 5 big bosses of the game, but they are not they're not as developed as like modern games, right? But Diablo in particular, I think more than all the other 4, even Act 5 Bale, Diablo has like attack patterns that you can learn and like learn to dodge. His like fire ring is just fireballs, so the further out you get from him, the easier it is to duck in between them. He follows you with a lightning a laser, so you have to run around him in circles. If you get too close, he'll hit you with melee, but if you get too far, he'll stick you in a bone prison and then rush you. So like there's a balance between getting close and staying far away. There's a lot of movement and a lot of strategy in that fight in particular. It's probably the best fight in the game.
My problem
But
with that
other
fight,
bosses
though,
are not that great.
is he hits way too hard.
Yeah, no, I hate to I hate to cry about that, but he does. Like you can't do what you're supposed to do. Like if you're a melee class like Dan or I, forget about it. Like
Yeah.
He's very tough for melee classes. He is. As a sorceress, and also he's not
it feels
fire
like he wasn't
immune.
like
He's
tested
not
well
ice
enough.
immune. So I just like could cool
Endurial.
him down so he would move slower, and then walking around him in circles was real easy because he was always constantly half frozen.
Oh my
So
god, I
sorceress
wish that I
killed
was
him.
the sorceress.
I know,
Absolutely.
right?
I was having a problem because I don't think anywhere in the game it tells you that you can only put one curse on an enemy. So I had like 3 different curses, and I was trying to put all the curses on him, run in, put all the curses on him, and it was overriding his slow curse, but I didn't realize because his damage output was so high that I had to retreat almost immediately.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, it didn't explain well enough that you could only have one curse. Eventually, getting Decrepify turned everything around for me.
Yeah.
And so my strategy was melee partially, but also that claw attack that I told you guys about. That buff allows me to heal every time I hit an enemy, like leech life, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I was able to get through most of this game, is that I can just tank mobs of enemies and I can, kill them, right? And the wolf pack itself applies buffs to me, and there's a spirit that applies a buff to me while I'm in wolf form. And every time he fire stomped, all that's dead. And
He's overtuned, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Bale was a lot more manageable for me.
yeah,
What makes Bale's fight interesting is all these mandibles or tendrils or something that he summons that are all over the battlefield, so you can't exactly escape, because anywhere you go he can attack you. And when you're making your way to his chamber in the first place, he's already attacking you from zones away by, adding poison clouds and stuff in your path. So, but once you actually get to him and fight the final boss, Bale, you just ignore his stupid mandibles. Just rush him. Just get in his grill. He's the opposite of Diablo. He wants the distance. Don't give him the distance.
get up in his face. So melee classes accelerate against it.
Are you talking
basically.
about like
Yeah.
after the ad phase or before? Because is it
After the ad phase.
okay? Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't
'Cause-
consider the ad phase part of the boss
oh,
fight.
you don't? I did, because like the last two ad packs. Oh my god, they were hitting harder than Diablo. I swear to God, dude.
Well, so all right, let's talk about that real quick. So, because it's the final fight of the final act, what they do is they have Bale, the final boss, summon a bunch of mobs from the first act that are very, very common enemies in Act 1, and then you have to beat them all. And then a bunch that are very common in Act 2, beat them all. Act 3, beat them all. Act 4, beat them all. Act 5, beat them all. So it's like a little love letter to the whole game. It's the greatest hits. This is all. Remember all the hours you've spent fighting all these guys before? Isn't this a lot of fun? But then he doesn't just jump you with the last mob. He walks off in a portal and gives you all the time in the world to go back to town, repair your gear, revive your mercenary, change your strategy, buy some potions, take a nap,
Well, you can do that
Whatever you
anyways
need.
with any boss.
Well, but you need to try to escape. All right, if you're in a boss fight and you want to, you can do that if you can get away from them.
You better
Act
do
2,
that.
Duriel is so hard to get away
Oh
from.
my god, don't even get
Duriel
me
is
started on
fast.
him, dude.
Duriel doesn't like you. He wants you to know he doesn't like you. He is in your grill.
Cold
He is-
and
And you
poison
show up
enchanted.
into his
Yeah,
little
yeah.
room and he goes, looking for Bale.
Yeah, and the storyline didn't say anything about it was going to happen either. You just think like I'm going to fight. No, you're looking for Tal Rasha or something. You're looking for a character, and then you enter a chamber and boss fight. And it's a small chamber that you got to run around in little circles. And this guy's faster than like anything else in the game. Duriel is my pick for the most difficult boss.
Oh, yeah,
It's
he was
early
for me,
on.
too.
You haven't got a lot of skill points. You haven't got a lot of cool abilities yet. You haven't got the best gear yet.
He's an
Duriel's
absolute
some shit.
nightmare for melee too, because when he hits you, he gives you a chill effect. So like
He stuns you.
he stuns you and he chills you, so you can't even run away from him. And he
You
hits
can't
you
run away.
very hard too.
He interrupts you casting stuff.
Yeah.
So you try to cast a spell to hit him. If he hits you, it interrupts. If you're trying to cast the spell of Open Town Portal, it interrupts. So, like, if you get in that fight, you find out very quickly whether you're stronger than him or he's stronger than you. And if you're stronger than him, great. But if he's stronger than you better throw your mercenary at him long enough to open a portal, because if he kills your mercenary and then he's in your face, then you can't open that portal. I don't know how many times in my life playing Diablo 2, every time I'm like, am I ready? Am I ready for Duriel?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He does
When
get
you-
get you
Gold,
nervous.
gold was my resource for beating him. Basically, it was
Gold?
Yeah. So basically,
Get the
it was
mercenary back?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was the reviving the mercenary over and over and over.
You send him into tank so that you can get some hits in while he's beating on him.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, when you
the-
enter
the
that
wolf pack was
room,
good for that. He actually didn't one-shot the wolves, so
Chef Doug talks about gear checks in a lot of games and how he doesn't like it. This was a bank check.
Pretty much.
not. I mean, I just used. I use the same way to beat all the bosses. I just cheesed them with portals.
I mean, sometimes you got to
It's
do
good
that,
gameplay.
right?
It's good.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
was
the best
kinda
gameplay,
weak.
and sometimes you got to do
imagine
that.
if you couldn't
but
do that.
I
Like,
tried not to as much as
imagine
Dude,
like
Necromancer couldn't do it.
imagine if you used the portal and you went back and would like reset his HP.
Yeah, you
Oh my!
couldn't
This
beat
game
the
would
game
be
as Necromancer.
so freaking hard.
That being said, try losing your body somewhere really bad
Yeah.
and not and sometimes you don't get the portal up in time either.
Oh yeah.
You put the portal up before you.
Sometimes you get swarmed by an extra fast pack of elites coupled with, another like set of champion mobs and other trash mobs coming in from all directions, and you just get surrounded and killed.
Yeah, I've
And
had
then,
that happen to me.
And even if you portal, the game becomes get back in the portal naked because you don't have any of your equipment now. And you have to like click.
You're supposed to have,
You don't have any
gear in
gold.
your box.
You don't
You're
even have
like-
a goal to
Yeah.
revive your
You can store
mercenary
it
to help
in the
you out.
personal stash.
You have nothing, and you have to like click like a madman to try to find the body and not hit a mob because they're still there. They don't move when you leave. Like they don't kill you and be like, oh, that's it,
Do you want to know a trick?
going home. They just wait.
Do you want to know a trick? You can log out and log back in, and then when you log back in, your body will be at your feet. But the only
my
the
God,
only
I should-
caveat is you lose the gold doing that.
I had so many times when I wanted to stop playing, and I was like, but I died it, like because
Yeah,
I get frustrated, right? Like I'm thinking, oh, it's getting close to bedtime, and then I die, and surely that'd be the moment where you as the gamer are like, okay, fine, good enough, I'm done. No, I had to go get the body because I thought I was going to lose all my equipment.
Yeah.
So I had to spend like another half hour or 45 minutes or however long it took me to tiptoe past the mobs to get the body.
You won't lose your equipment, but what happens is that a big slab of your gold gets dropped on the ground in front of you, and that doesn't go with your body to town.
Right.
So you can get your body back and get your equipment if you restart, as long as you're happy with losing whatever chunk of gold they took out of you.
Actually, it's all of the gold.
Yeah, it is.
When
you can put
when
gold in
get,
your stash. So
Yeah.
Well,
Who does that?
so you lose
I
a
didn't.
chunk when you die, but you also drop the rest of your gold on the ground.
Yeah, like you have to go actively pick it up, and I forgot sometimes. Like I lost 80k that way because I was like,
Oh yeah.
because I thought it was on my body, I didn't realize it, and I didn't have the like Alt key selected, or I was looking at something else or something.
Can I this is a good opportunity to bring up something about mechanics that I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on. Dan just said that if you quit the game and then restart the game, it'll bring you back to town with your corpse, right? So we talked about dying, which leaves your corpse out in the wild, and how difficult it is to go from town to your corpse with no gear. That's a pain in the butt. And then to collect your corpse with all the mobs that just killed you still there, that's a pain in the butt. That's one of the experiences of this game. But I want to talk about where he said, exit the game and come back. We didn't say for the people listening yet, but one of the best parts about Diablo, the 1 and 2, what they did right away in this franchise is that maps are generated randomly. Every time, maps are different. So when we say you quit and rejoin and you get your body back in town, what you're giving up there isn't necessarily just the gold or whatever that you lost on the ground, but all the mobs you cleared are back, all the maps you gained are different, and your map is empty. So if you were trying to make progress towards an objective, now you have to basically start over. That was a big problem for me. If I wanted to try to sit down and have a short game session, if I couldn't get to a checkpoint in my game session, then it felt like almost a wasted 45 minutes or whatever I spent on that game session.
Yeah.
And so it increased like my tension of like, ooh, I'm trying to achieve a goal, a little small sliver of a goal to reach all of the quests. It gave me small bits of progress, which helped it making playing fun over the course of the week. And then random maps. I mean, I don't know any other games, from 2000 that would create the maps like that randomly, so you couldn't even just go online and find like, oh, go this path to find the Tomb of Tal Rasha. It wasn't like that. It was different every single time, not just for each character you created, every time you booted up the game, different.
Right.
So I can appreciate that, but I just left my game on for long periods of time so I could keep my maps.
Yeah, I was a little confused at first because when I first started playing, was testing out all the different characters, and then you're in the rogue settlement, and then say I'm on my second character, and then I'm running towards the gate, and then I'm like, wait a minute, where's the gate? Like, because
It's up north. Yeah, you're
yeah,
supposed to
I
go the
was
other
like, I
way.
could have sworn it was south of me. Like, what's going on? So yeah, it reminded me of that. So yeah, every time we were saying, it's different every time you like restart. You
It's the
know.
game messing with you, Dan.
Yeah, I actually left the game on until I finished an act, so whether that was like a day or two.
Well, my breakpoints would be like waypoints. So like anytime I got
Yeah.
like a new waypoint, I'd be like, all right, that's a good time to stop.
Which is fast travel.
Yeah,
Just in case
Yep.
you didn't know. Yeah, no, it's that really is an interesting aspect. Makes the game highly replayable because people played this game a lot. The people that were into it, they played it a ton. So it
Oh,
had to
yeah.
be engaging on that level. It couldn't just be I'm not dunking on it, but it couldn't be something like a Final Fantasy VI where everything was in the same place every single time, right? Like you probably played Final Fantasy VI a handful of times, but it
To be
would
fair, I
not have
still
had the
don't know
variance.
everything about it.
Yeah.
So there are few maps that are the same, um, and there are few elements of some maps that are the same among other random elements. But I'd say 85-90% of everything is random, and you get a sense if you played enough. So, like I said, I played more than the rest of you guys, so I could get a sense of maybe go left or go right, or maybe I think it's if I run past all the mobs, I'll hit the wall, and then I can follow the wall, you know, till I find the hole in the wall that you need to go in, right? Like certain things like that. So the first or second playthroughs are much more of a slog than the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 100th.
Yeah, I followed the outer perimeter of every map.
Yeah, you just eat
And
around
then
the
and
edges
then once
first.
it's not a slog like that, once you're then the random generated maps are only
That
positive
makes
in
me
my
feel
opinion.
so disgusting. I ate the crust first.
Some of the maps are sprawling though. The worst ones are when you have a sprawling map and you have to like find like the spider burrow or something like that, and it's
Hmm.
somewhere in the middle of the
Hmm.
map, and you're like, oh my god.
yeah.
So, did you guys play the resurrected version this week, or did you play the original, or did you play resurrected with the original skin? How'd you guys do
I
it?
just did Resurrected with HD.
Same here. I did Resurrected with the HD, but you know what I did? Because I played on my Rogue Ally like not handheld mode 90% of the time. I played controller exclusively. Even when I sat down at my desk the 2 or 3 times this week, instead of using mouse and keyboard at that time, I continued to use controller mode.
Yeah,
So that was an interesting experience. But how did you guys play Resurrected or Classic?
I did controller. I did the same thing as you. I played a lot on my ROG Ally, and then I did some on my main computer. But yeah, I had no issues with the controller. They actually, the way they implemented it in Resurrected was really good. It was nice and smooth for
Especially
me.
especially for melee classes, I could see it being really good. I think maybe it would be a little bit of a struggle for caster classes or maybe necro, but
Yeah.
I do feel like for melee class was pretty much all the way there.
I played with keyboard and mouse on resurrected, and my scroll wheel on my mouse allowed me to change through my skills really quickly that I had assigned on F keys.
Mm.
So I could scroll and right click whatever skills I wanted very rapidly. Um,
It's
and my hand was always resting on like Control, Alt, and Tab because like all the extra commands in the game were on those. So
right.
I didn't
So
have to move my hands around a bunch, which is
it's
good.
been a long time for me playing since I played with mouse and keyboard, but my understanding is things like shift or like toggling your run or walk, right? And then like your skills are kind of like across your number bar or something like that.
Um,
You
yeah,
can
F keys.
you can map it so
Your F keys, yeah.
which I think might be mostly a facet of Resurrected, but you can do a lot of customization. So
Right.
instead of doing the mouse wheel thing that Steve did, you can actually just make it one press, kind of like it was in later games. So like if you had Fireball on number one, you wouldn't have to hit number one and then right click. You could just put your mouse where you want it and hit number one. to.
That sounds like a resurrected thing. I don't think they had that in the original.
No, they didn't. You had to
The-
go through the. You had to hit the hotkey and then right click before.
The experience with controller, and Dan can back me up. So basically, you're moving around with your joystick like you would move it in any other game with your joystick, and all of your skills are like set to like your A, B, X, Y. My experience, though, as a spellcaster, the sorceress, is that anytime I wanted to fire a missile projectile, it would just kind of go whatever direction my character was facing, which was fine. And it had smart targeting, so if I was facing this direction and an enemy target was sort of off of my line of sight but pretty close, it would fire at that target. But what that doesn't mean is that if I want to fire at 12 o'clock, because the opponent is at 1 o'clock moving left and the missile's going to get there and I want to intercept him, you can't do that because you don't have that level of very precise control. And if you wanted to do things like drop firewalls or blizzards or area of effect type skills, and you want to drop them, let's say a mob of enemies are coming close to you and you want the blizzard in between you and the enemies that are going to charge you, I can't do that either. It would just be like you're facing this way, the enemies are there, that's where we're going to drop your blizzard. And if they run
They're all
forward
just
and the
running
blizzard,
running past
and
it.
they just run past it. If that's what happens, then that's what happens. So a lot of I had to do a lot of fancy footwork and positioning that I probably wouldn't have had to do on mouse and keyboard.
Well, I don't know how it would be, and don't quote me on this because I played Barbarian, so I didn't have any like those skill shots. But I think when I was browsing through the options, it had like an option for like smart targeting. So I don't know what that would have meant if you untick that off for controller, but you might have been able to do the things that you were just talking about, maybe.
So
Some
I didn't
kind
try.
of UI.
I didn't try it with smart targeting off. So maybe if smart targeting were off, that would make something like Blizzard better, but I wouldn't know how because there's not like a cursor on the screen. So
Right.
whatever direction my character's
Exactly.
facing.
So I'm not really sure.
What smart targeting does do is it did if I was looking forward and an enemy was dead ahead of me and I wanted to fire a fireball at it, it would correct the trajectory of the fireball for me.
Yeah, no,
So
I
to say
was
it was not a
surprised.
bad experience. It was perfectly fine, but it wasn't. It was like if my skills were 99%, I could have got that 1% edge by playing mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good. And I think that's a nice place to kind of like talk about the upgrades that Resurrected brings. Part of this, we do play 20-year-old games, but some of these 20-year-old games do get a refurbish, and it's kind of like a state of the game sort of thing. So if you want to play Diablo 2 today, it's a very approachable game. It actually went on sale during the week we were playing it, which was great. For me.
Yeah,
I don't know if
like
other people
literally
bought it
like
for more.
2 days after I bought it at full price.
Yeah, I think I
But,
ate it too.
You can play a very updated, modernized version of Diablo 2 and still maintain a lot of that.
It looks gorgeous.
funk,
Like the
basically.
updated graphics looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, they are really good looking.
Yes,
Or the
when you compare
cutscenes,
them to the other ones,
that
yeah.
they added too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. The cutscenes, when I remember them back in 2000, I was like blown away. I'm sure they would not look that good now, but the updated version is not like the StarCraft 1 refresh. They really gave these a big work over, and they're like in 4K and everything. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Cutscenes are bread and butter for Blizzard.
Yeah,
right?
Blizzard's the
They
king
care
at
about
cutscenes.
story. They care about cutscenes. They care about humor. It's like almost crazy how good gameplay that Blizzard can make when they have the time to still focus on all these other not gameplay things. They make funny games. They make visually beautiful games. They make very compelling stories. They make terrific realistic dialogue. Oh, also, it's like one of the best played games. Like, gameplay is also addictive and can put hundreds of hours into it.
So how do you think it's going to do on the league after?
Stole my thunder, Steve? You did that?
He went there.
Hey, you steal my thunder every intro.
I do.
No, Diablo 2 is every bit as good as StarCraft, and I looked at your rankings. What do we have? Apricorn, Pokeball, Great Ball.
For now.
So for now, this is 100% a Great Ball game, and when Ultra Ball comes around, it's an Ultra Ball game too. It's like defines the genre. It's had, how many sequels and imitators, and there's a lot of things that it can do better, right? But it was the second iteration of a game that's had 4, 5, 6 iterations. They're still learning. They were still improving on it back then, but for back then, fantastic. Like, how much time did we just spend talking about the character classes, and we only did half of them?
I mean, I don't have any experience with the other ones.
No, it's a pretty deep game for what it is. Yeah. All right, so we've gone on about this game for about an hour. So we're gonna say goodbye to our esteemed guest, Hux, and then we're gonna get into our review and rate it.
Timer. I'll be back for game number 4. This isn't the last you've heard of Hux.
Actually, I think you're our most returning guest, right?
I am the most returned guest. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm the champ.
Chef
The
Dog
champ
on
of
voice.
guest hosts.
I feel like that's going to be a problem in my real life when I see him again.
Tell him to pick better games.
I mean, he did do the kazoo work for the last episode, if you count that.
I do.
Yeah, he's
That's more of an Easter egg. That's like saying Daniel Craig's in Star Wars. He was a stormtrooper, didn't have any dialogue.
Still was there.
That's wild. All right. Thank you for joining us, Hux.
take care.
Thanks, Alex.
This is the part of the show where I like to say, if you've hung with us this long, you should consider subscribing. Hit the little subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to us on, or if you're watching us on YouTube. Also, hit the thumbs up button.
Ring the bell.
Yeah, ring it. So we talk about a different retro game every 2 weeks, and we're going to be doing off-week content coming up here soon. So if you're into that kind of thing and you need it in your life, stick with us. You might also consider joining the Discord and playing games with us and Hux and Chef Doug and all the rest of the people that hang out in our Discord. We love you all. All right, so our review of the game. This game's got some aging factors on it, even though Resurrected came out in 2024. And I get there's a certain part of the fan base that wants this.
Yeah,
But Diablo 3
yeah.
pretty much covers all the areas that I'm about to complain about.
Yeah. I would say one of the biggest things, in my opinion, that's pretty much aged is the accuracy, where you're just basically swinging at mobs and it's literally doing nothing.
So they don't even call it accuracy, first of all. Let's start there.
Yeah,
attack
just lost.
rating, yeah.
Yeah, attack rating, right? Which is a problem because you're like, what is this? I don't know what it is, but I have tons of it, but then I'm still whiffing, right? So by the end of my first playthrough, I had like 650 attack rating, like when I opened up my sheet. And I would still come up on something that doesn't even look dodgy, like a skeleton knight with a shield. And I would like swing. I'd hit like 8 times without hitting him. And I'm like, how much attack rating do you need?
So I actually looked into it. You actually cannot hit 100% attack rating or like a hit rating. It caps at
Why?
95, no matter how good your
Just
gear
like
is.
who makes
So
that decision?
you'll always-
I can live with that.
But still, it's just like if you have the best gear possible and you still have a 5% chance of missing, like come on.
All
dude.
right, Final Fantasy 11.
Listen, one whiff is not going to cost you anything in late game Diablo because you can just swing again, right? And you usually get like raised attack speed or something by that point. But like when you can swing 9 times and miss like 7 of those,
yeah.
and get nothing accomplished, especially like because my ability revolved around hitting them so that I could get my buff up.
Or consider Dan's Barbarian, like his only avenue is to hit things by
Right.
himself. Missing is awful.
It is awful, and I
is
don't think
awful.
I've ever capped it at any point in the game. So like you can actually check. So what this game does is like if you hit, an enemy and you go into the menu and you like hover over like your attack rating, it'll show that specific enemy and it'll say chance of hitting this enemy. And I want to say for like a lot of like the, not like the imps and stuff, because those were always easy to hit, but like regular sized enemies, I want to say I always had like 70 or lower. 80 on a good day.
Yeah, it didn't always make sense because you're like these little imps that run around super fast, right? You always clothesline those guys and just kill them, right? But then you come up against something like a big gargoyle demon with wings that's twice the size of you. You can't hit him.
Yeah.
Like you're sitting in front of him and you can't hit him.
Well, I mean, so like I thought of it kind of like armor class in D&D, and even if you get good rolls on stuff that are large enemies, generally they take in consideration that the enemy has like scales if it's a dragon, or like native armor or a shield. But like
you got to use your
even
imagination.
still, well, yeah, I mean that's
the
just
game has defense. Defense is a stat.
I wanted to say that, it's cool that they let you allocate your stats the way that you want, but it could just be my inexperience. I felt like you needed to have an even spread on everything, no matter who you were. Like
Except for energy.
Well, no, energy helps your mana restoration.
Yeah, you don't need it though, because mana potions, no matter the size, restore all of it.
Yeah, but I didn't want to carry more mana potions. My inventory was already shit.
Oh, that's another. So god.
Oh yeah, you were playing Necro, so it's a little bit harder. But yeah, generally speaking, energy is not something you need to invest in. But yeah.
But like, even Barbarian, who you wouldn't necessarily need to think that you have to put stuff in dexterity. You want to put it into strength and vitality so you can be dealing damage. And it's just, what's the point?
I mean, dexterity does up defense, and it does tell you that. So like when you're raising your stats, there's like a little box around what that gives you, right? So when you up dex, you get attack rating and defense.
No, I'm saying you definitely need to put skills into dexterity. What I'm saying is that, like, if I was building just a brute force melee character, my initial thoughts would be like strength and HP. But in this, you have to spread your skills out like evenly. So what's the point of being able to allocate them where you want?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So my character needed only strength to carry weapons that I wanted to use, and only dex to carry weapons and armor that I wanted to use. But everything else they recommended putting into health.
Yeah.
And that's because of that healing when you hit. Like you just want to be able to take damage, right? So I did not allocate evenly. It was like, oh, look, I found a weapon that I want. Oh, I'm 5 strength too short. Okay, the next level goes completely into strength, and everything else.
I think this game is very, very like gear dependent. You want gear that has like a bunch of attack rating and all that stuff. That'll take care of like your stat problem.
God,
and the fact that enemies drop random gear that you can't even use, like, it's cool. You can put it in your chest if you build another character, but like,
the inventory and that whole system bred so much frustration, because if you've played Diablo 3, which I'm much more familiar with, they introduced smart loot, which is to say that if you're playing a character, you are much more likely to see gear from that character class.
That's what I wanted.
Right. Whereas, like, you can play the whole game as a barbarian and you just spend the entire time getting rare sorceress items, and you're like, oh great, I'm not a sorceress, I can't use this.
I love how this game too, like your inventory is extremely limited as is, but then it starts throwing stuff at you like these charms that give you nice buffs, but it has to stay in your already small inventory. I was like,
and there's so much shit that enemies drop. So much. It's all over the place. Like, you try to click a potion, arrows, for the love of God, arrows. Like, that item they should have just patched out, like just gone. It's not necessary. The class that uses arrows doesn't need it, or make it a class specific drop. I don't know, just get rid of it. I'm tired of picking up quivers. They're never good, but you pick them up all the time.
They take 3 inventory spots out of your like 50.
Yeah. And the inventory is like, if you're not familiar, it's like Resident Evil 4 style, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like boxes.
with the suitcase, yeah.
Yeah, and bigger items take up more space, right? But you can't turn them.
Nope.
Because that would be too easy, right? You have like an item you're trying to fit in, and you're trying to play Tetris, like Gimp Tetris with it, because you can't turn it. Yeah. And you're like, oh, maybe I'll put a potion over here, I'll put the jewels over there and everything. And no, you still can't fit it. Put up a town portal, run back and forth 8 times, move on.
Yeah, so I was doing that in the beginning, but I want to say, like, a quarter through the game, I was like, you know what, this is aggravating. So I literally just avoided everything that was like blue. Like, I just wouldn't care if it was like, what was it, yellow? like rare or higher, I would try and see what it was. But
Yeah,
like,
yellows and greens only.
yeah, because it's like you would be spending forever just on inventory management if you tried to vacuum up every piece of loot. It's just
That's what I did. It was pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I could pick up 2 things optimistically.
right.
And
Yeah,
I knew
the
if I
same way.
picked up 2 things, I was gonna have to go back to town. So I had to keep like a mental list of the equipment that I knew was shoddy and like specifically target those things.
It just feels bad, like just leaving all this loot on the ground. But like you had to, like otherwise
just
you
throw
would
a
never
portal
beat
up.
the game. Like
I would throw a portal up and I would grab all of the blue things and then I'd run into town and sell them. And then go back and pick up the rest of the shit. Then put up another portal and then sell them or put them in the
but it's
stash. Like it's just so much time.
Yeah,
every
it's
time.
just like two things at a time. Like no thanks, man.
Yeah.
We have to call this segment like the ball buster segment or something, because there's like some stuff too that really gets you. You like pick something up, it's the perfect class helmet, it's got all the bonuses and stuff you want, and then it's ethereal, which means you can't repair it. It means it has a finite life, and you're like, God, it's class specific. I've been looking for this forever, and it's just not.
It's just completely unnecessary to put ethereal in the game.
Yeah, it doesn't add anything.
Yeah, so we mentioned it in the Discord a little bit. So what ethereal is basically it can't be repaired. So it just you only have it for a finite amount of time.
It's disposable.
Yeah, basically. So like I avoided it like the plague, unless it had the role of auto repair on it. So like you wouldn't lose it because it would just repair over time. But like someone in the Discord was saying that like the durability on it's actually really good. Like
yeah, I got a really busted one-hand axe that was ethereal. Like it was literally twice the damage output of everything else that I was seeing in that area. And for the time that it lived, I was unstoppable.
Yeah, I just avoided them because I was just like, you know what, I'm not even doing because like I didn't want to base a build around it. I was just like, I'm gonna be losing this, so I just kind of took my losses and found something else.
So I will admit that this game paved the way for a lot of games like it, and it obviously was a mainstay in PC gaming, and it influenced a lot of what we have now. But personally, the gameplay loop for this game is just not my cup of tea. I get really kind of tired of it. I wish that I could change my class like midway through a game.
Right, yeah.
Without having to start over. Like it would just help me feel more like I had options.
Yeah,
like
change
the
it
skill
up.
tree's
Yeah.
nice, but like, maybe I wanted to play a paladin, but I didn't want to start over from the beginning.
And the limited like respecs too. Because it's like, each class had 3 trees. So it would have been nice to being able to, change on the fly or like maybe pay like a currency or something. So you'd have like, more options to like play. But like usually you just had to stick with what you put in your tree. And that was that. You have 1 respec per game. So once you use it, that's it. You're stuck with it until a harder difficulty, which I didn't like.
And like I went into this week thinking that I liked the skill tree and stat point system more because it made characters feel more unique. In Diablo 3, they just get rid of all that. Like, if you're not wearing any equipment, every level 60 barbarian is the same. Basically, no matter who the player is, you can just equip different skills, right, out of the pool of skills that you're approved for at your level, basically. But as I played it, I was like, oh, I do get why people prefer that other way, because it is easy to just pivot. Like you pick up a piece of gear that doesn't work for you, but it's really good. You can just turn around, edit your skills, and you're like, oh, I'm not a skeleton necromancer anymore. I'm a poison necromancer because this piece of equipment's really good.
Yeah,
and then it suddenly feels like you're playing a different class.
Yeah, because there was stuff I wanted to do on the barbarian, but I just couldn't. Like there was like a whirlwind ability, like where you could just spin around and like destroy stuff. Like there was the frenzy build that you could do, or like the singer build. I would have messed with all of this on my playthrough if given the chance, but I just couldn't because it's like the limited respecs.
I don't look at unlimited new game pluses as end game content either. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely in the minority there. People do agree that Diablo 2 has a post game and it is doing just that, but I can't see going through the same story and grinding the same 4-act bosses.
Yeah,
it's too repetitive for me.
A lot of like the Diablo enthusiasts, like the real end game is like getting the best gear possible. Like, cause it's like, I know like they start dropping like, really strong like uniques, which have like static stats on them for the most part. And
Well, there's like rune words too. I don't know if you played around with that.
no, I know you can do like gems and rune words. I didn't really bother with
Yeah.
that.
So the runes. So items can have sockets. You can stick things into them and give the item bonuses. There's gems, there's skulls, there's other stuff. But among those items, there's runes, and you'll pick up different runes like L rune and Tull rune and stuff like that, right? And it's like 3 letters. But if you have a weapon that has enough sockets and you put them into the weapon in a specific order, it literally changes the weapon to like a mythical weapon as long as you know the rune word to do. So like I was looking at guides and my best in slot was a weapon called Beast. And I think the rune word was like Mel Etalum or something like that. And it required 5 sockets. And if you had the 5 runes that you stuck in the right order, it turned into like this ridiculous super weapon, basically.
Oh
Oh,
wow,
and it had to be an axe or a club or something like that. Like it was a specific weapon that had to have the sockets.
that's interesting.
How are you ever supposed to like just like so much time and energy spent in that if you didn't have the internet or something?
Yeah, I don't know if there's parts of the game that have it, because the one thing we didn't talk about too much is the story of this game and how it's conveyed. Like you have the cutscenes, I think that's enough to get the gist.
Right.
But there's
Yeah,
a
it
lot
was.
of other crap and a lot of other reading that you can do throughout the game if you choose to slow down for a second.
Yeah, it's basically an eternal war between angels and demons,
Yeah,
and
I
and
think
humans are stuck in the middle pretty much, or that they're the creation of the humans, or no, sorry, they're the creations of demons and angels. That's what humans are.
yeah, and the pacing is nice because you can kind of pick how much you want to dive in. I feel like Metroid Prime was kind of like that too, where you pick up like the journals and stuff. You didn't have to read them, but if you did, you got a lot more out of it. So it's nice.
Yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed the story, and I think that it was conveyed well.
Yeah, like I know you got like 3 primevals, which is Diablo, Mephisto, and then Baal, and they're all brothers. They're like, top of the top in the hierarchy. And then you got like lesser demons that like right under them there's like Duriel and Dariel, whatever else there was for like the bosses.
So I think there's 4 primevals, and the last one is Asmodan, who's in the
I think no,
the third game?
I think he's a lesser. I think there's only 3. I could be wrong, but I think there's, like I was saying, Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal. I think they're the 3 top dogs.
Oh, Asmodan doesn't have a soul stone, right? That's how you tell.
I think.
Because I think only the primevals have soul stones, which basically is like an immortal shell for them. They can't die as long as a soul stone exists.
Right.
So, well, I'm glad I got that off my chest. I had to rant about that.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else before we move on to rating this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I would say overall, like, back in the day when the game was new, like, it was definitely an experience for sure. Like, I can understand, like, the people who played it back then. Like, it was basically, like, their Final Fantasy 11, because that's what it was for me. Like, Final Fantasy 11 was just so magical. And I could kind of see that in a way with, people who, like, played this game a lot. Because there's a lot to do, even though, like, there's, the whole, like, replaying stuff, with the difficulties. But, like, that's part of the charm. And if that's what like you were into, and like making your character stronger through like gear and whatnot, and yeah, I mean, I don't know, like I could definitely see it why people enjoyed it.
All right, you ready to enter it into the league?
Let's do it.
All right, this is the part of the episode, the exciting part, where we enter it into our patented Retro Game League. So what I have here is what looks like a tier list, but it's not a tier list. It's actually a list of cups. We're doing this Pokemon Stadium style because we are a Pokemon-centered podcast after all. What we're going to do here is take this here game, this one here, and we're going to put it into one of these cups, wherever we think it should land. Now, what we want to end up with, because we're playing 25 games, is eventually 5 cups with 5 games each. And then our community is going to vote on them to decide which games in each cup win. This allows us to have some space, for the master class in gaming, but also some space for the hipstery, nostalgic picks that some of our guests want to do an episode on. So we have 3 cups right now. This will be game number 15 going in there. And yeah, so I don't know. I always go first. What do you guys think? Where do you guys think Diablo should land?
So, jeez, I'm torn between Great Ball and Pokeball for this game. I'm just trying to picture it from my point of view of like how much I would actually play the game, from my perspective. And if you like the gameplay enough, you could spend hundreds and hundreds of hours on this game. And I don't think I would be that hard on it, but like I actually think the gameplay loop is decent. So, and I know you guys feel a little differently about that, but actually think I would throw this in Great Ball for now.
Apricorn.
Really?
Apricorn.
Really, dude? Oh my
No,
god.
no, it's not. It's not Apricorn.
No, I actually think that I enjoy Pokemon Gold and Silver a little more than this game.
Oh, dang. If we do that, I don't think we're going to be able to talk to Hux again.
Listen, the amount of repetitiveness, maybe it's just the class that I picked, but unfortunately for everybody listening, that's the class that I picked. Necromancer, I summon things, I curse a group of enemies, and I let my skeletons do all the work, and it was really, really boring.
Well, to be honest,
Yeah, but you played the one class, though.
I
there's
didn't
other
know that it
things
was
you
going to
could
be
do.
like that, but unfortunately, that's part of the game, and I can't pick a new character once I'm halfway through.
I'm gonna
start over.
I'm gonna say like no matter what character you pick, that's basically what you're gonna be doing. Like you pick like a tree you want to go down, and that's basically the gameplay loop. Like
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I just didn't have a lot of fun.
All right, so in order to average it out, and I don't care.
spent a lot more time on Pokemon Gold and Silver and had fun.
Yeah. So I don't care how you slice it, but I'm going to average this out. Whether you feel like I'm putting it in Great Ball tier or Pokeball tier, whatever it is, I'm dragging Steve's average up and it's getting to the Pokeball tier. But then the game that goes up, I feel like I would rather play Third Strike or Donkey Kong Country 2 over this one. Actually.
I think I'm gonna go with Street Fighter on this one.
What do you think, Steve?
Well, personally, I enjoy platformers a lot more than fighting games, but I think that Street Fighter Third Strike is just such a good game that I have to go with it.
So it is truly 3 votes for Third Strike between our 6. So
yeah, like I understand like how good Donkey Kong Country is, like Donkey Kong Country 2. But I don't know. As I get older, I've just been kind of getting away from like platformers. They just don't grab me the way that they used to as a kid.
I've been playing Shovel Knight lately, and I really like that though.
Yeah.
All right, so there we have it. We have Diablo landing in the Pokeball tier 4 now, and we have officially created the Great Ball Cup. We've officially finished the Great Ball Cup.
Nice.
So next episode we'll have to bump something up to Ultra Ball. So we're going to set Diablo aside, or at least most of us are. And next time, we are going to be reviewing a very early, very masterful title that pretty much kicked off modern platformers as we know it, and popularized it for people that the first game in this series didn't popularize it for. We're playing the epic Super Mario 3
Oh
for
boy.
the Nintendo Entertainment System originally.
Arguably better than World.
Yeah,
Very good
it's
game.
definitely up there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
I played this as a ton as a kid, so this will be a good one.
Yeah. So join us for the next 2 weeks as we play Super Mario 3. Come over to the Discord. Come watch us play it on the couch. We'll come watch you play it, or make sure to leave some reviews in the gaming review section of your experience with Mario 3 so we can include your thoughts on the show. We love doing that. And then just some credits before we go. Our theme music is Unknowingly by Cubby, whose Bandcamp is left in our show notes. And we are our own editing and producer crew. Dan takes on the bulk of the editing here. So hire him to do your editing too. And I think that's it for today, fellas. Game over?
Game over.
Game over.